Okay, I got you guys.
5 days, and then all of a sudden I got the.
Good.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting is called to order at 5:02. Are there any comments? Oh, roll call.
No.
Why did it say roll call?
It always says roll
It
call.
always says roll call.
Which is always
I
ignored.
presume that everybody's here.
Okay. Comments from the public regarding items on the closed session agenda? There being none, we will now move to closed session.
We are now back in open session. And the first order of business somehow seems very apropos. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic in which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May it last. Approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion that we approve the agenda?
I move reprove the agenda.
And a second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Input from the public regarding items not on the open session agenda. And I have got two requests. Casey, tell us about the arts.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you so much. I'm glad I could be here. The rain was just starting when I pulled in, so knock on wood or whatever the stuff is. Anyway, so this past month and the upcoming month is going to be pretty busy for the arts. On the 23rd of January, the symphonic band, that's the advanced band class, and the jazz ensemble visited Hillcrest and Twin Hills. Although we typically do that in the fall, it was a pretty busy fall, so we were able to go visit in one go. It was pretty fun, and was able to say hi, especially to the new music teacher, Mr. Reebley, at Twin Hills Middle School. This past weekend, the February 6th through the 8th, I was at CSU Chico with 5 students for the Northern California Regional Honor Band. There were 3 students in the concert band portion and 2 in the jazz portion. And I was really excited to see that. That is basically, if you just imagine from Marin County laterally up, that's the Northern California region, for all intents and purposes. I was really proud of one of our saxophone players who was in the jazz band. The 3 out of the 5 were from Maria Carrillo, and then there was ours from here, and then I don't know where the other one was, but it was nice to represent Annalie at the Northern California Honor Band. 2 of our students that were part of that received merit scholarships to Kaz Music Camp to the tune of $1,000. That's a half scholarship, so really good on them. I hope they take advantage of it. And then upcoming. So right now I know they're doing the run through in the theater. The choir variety show is tomorrow. That's 6 o'clock at the theater. At the end of this month, February 26th, 27th, and 28th, in the theater here at Annalie is the dance show. And then, of course, the musical at the end of March. That's the 28th, 29th, and 30th of March. And then the 4th, 5th, and 6th in April, that's Mamma Mia. They've been rehearsing, and now that I'm recovered from the cold that's been going around, we've been starting to do a little vocal rehearsals, but they've been doing blocking and all that sort of stuff, and I'm really excited for that. And then, of course, at the end of April, April 26th is the Apple Blossom Parade. So we're figuring out some things for the marching band, and I'm really excited for that. The bandwagon is hiring a part-time drum coach to really get our percussion in line, and I'm really excited about that. I co-coordinated with the Santa Rosa JC for our symphonic band folks. We're going to go do a sit-in in the rehearsal, so they'll get to see a college rehearsal at the JC. And I've invited Mr. Wade, and so we'll go and see that, and they'll get a college band experience and really get to see, as I like to joke, all the things I warned them about. So they'll get to see that. And let's see. And I think that's all in the near future. And of course, if you see any of these things, I've been putting out quick snippets of promotional stuff on Facebook. And so if you see anything, please feel free to share it. Or if you would like it, I'd be happy to email it to you so you can share it on social media to see all the fun little snippets that the students do. I hope you stay dry with the weather, and thank you for your support of the arts. Have a great night.
Thank you, Casey. It's great. Daniela.
Thank you. My name is Daniela Kingwell, and my daughter is a student here at Annalie. For context, I teach English for multilingual students, or ESL, at Santa Rosa Junior College. Tomorrow, I will be taking advantage of the opportunity to learn how to be an ally to undocumented students and families through my work, Professional Development Activities Day. I appreciate the information sent to families on Parent Square from our district here regarding the stance on immigration and customs enforcement. I'm coming to the district with a request to provide Know Your Rights trainings to students and families in our district here. With the current administration, many families are living in fear, and many other families would like to learn how to become allies. It would be a tragedy if even one of our community members were taken away by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. I encourage this district to provide the opportunity for students and their families not only to learn their rights, but also to know what to do if ICE agents were to come to our community, whether it be here at school, any workplace, or anyone's home. For example, people should know they don't need to talk to ICE nor open their doors to them. They should know that only a warrant signed by a judge is valid. They should know that there's a rapid response network in Sonoma County and in all counties in the Bay Area. They should also know that it is legal to record ICE without disrupting them. I'm also available to be of support if needed, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's important. Consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
There is one item that I'd like to remove from contracts. That's the Keystone MOU. Needs some additional work.
I would like to move that we approve the contracts minus the Keystone contract.
Which number is it? Keystone contract?
It's in 3 contracts
Got it,
under
okay.
consent.
Got it. Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Second.
All those in favor of the amended consent calendar?
Aye.
Good, thank you. I wonder, do you want to, oh, that's just going to go away and come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Items are in closed session.
Education, okay, sorry. Action on items heard in closed session, Sean?
The board took action in closed session under agenda item number D2 to approve a request for a 0.2 FTE leave of absence from a certificated staff member for the 2025-2026 school year. The votes were Buckner, aye; Trinella, aye; Fernandez, aye; Helton, aye; Gutierrez, aye.
Great. And now, reports. Student reports get to go first. That would be you, Alina.
Hello, everybody. I'm a wee bit sick today, so I'm gonna go home after this again. I'm sorry I can't stay for the whole
Hold the
thing.
mic a little closer
Oh my
to,
gosh.
especially with your mask.
Can you hear me now? Is this better? Okay. Well, everyone, I'm so sorry. I'm pretty sick today. So after my report, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to the doctor because it's pretty bad. I'm getting sick a lot. Okay. And also I want to make a note. I'm gonna get in contact with Lenasia so that either one of us can give a report if we're not here, because that's important. We should know what's going on. I want to say start my report. I'm thankful for our school closure because it was really, really rainy. Like it was really bad. It was really hard to focus on school, and all of our clothes were getting wet. Anything. Okay. Our Best Buddies Club is having our prom and it's combined with other schools, and that's really cool. It's like under the sea, I think, and that's going to be April 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. Our Chilingo is coming up on the 20th of February, and that's like chili and bingo and prizes, and a bunch of different staff members and students can bring chili, and Miss Williams will be our like she's gonna announce the whole thing. It'll be really fun, and that's February 20th from 6 through 8 p.m. And then Mr. Jones, we always combine all the things in our report. Here's all the arts. Our dance program, Out of This World, that's on February 20th or 26th through the 20th at 7 at Annalee, and that'll be fantastic. They always put on great shows. And then we have our choir concert tomorrow night at 6 in the theater as well. So yeah, that's it for the arts. And then we have our national FFA event of the day, or event of the week, on Thursday, February 20th, and there's going to be some dodgeball at lunch, so that's pretty cool that FFA is putting that on. And then we're having a day of remembrance for the mural that is finally finished on the wall there. And And so that's going to be February 19th from 4 to 7 at the library here. So that'll be pretty cool. We just get to celebrate and like talk about that and like the heritage and everything. Also, uh, it came to me that a bunch of seniors like found out that they didn't have enough credits, so they had to sign up for TA spots and like a bunch of random electives so that they had enough credits to graduate, and they only found that out this semester. So that was a big inconvenience for a lot of them, I think. And that was just a few friends of mine that wanted me to share that. And then the volleyball names are still up in the gym. It's too bad that none of the basketball names ever got put up for the teams this year. So that was too bad. And some of my friends that do basketball told me about that too. So it'd be nice if we could be more diligent on getting names up for the correct sports. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Association reports.
Hello. Good
Hi.
evening, everyone. I'm Lily Smedshammer, President of the West Sonoma County Teachers Association. I'd like to thank Louis Buckner and Jeannie Fernandez for meeting with me, our head negotiator, Brian Miller, and our CTA staff person, Josh Ye, at the CTA Union Hall last week. It was a productive and insightful session, and we truly appreciate the opportunity to review the data on our budget and have open, meaningful conversations. It also speaks highly of our district's management team that they encourage this level of collaboration and transparency. These conversations are so important to fostering a strong, supportive environment for both our educators and students. We all know that working together is the best way to ensure success for everyone in the district. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Board reports. Rio, do you have a report?
None from me.
Linda?
I do. I went to the professional development morning. I was there for the morning and listened to Chris acknowledge all the teachers and their accomplishments. It was impressive. And then I was able to sit in on one of the sessions, which as an ex-teacher, I really appreciated. I have sat through more PD that was useless to me than I could say. And being able to see professional development organized by teachers for teachers was encouraging, and I took the paperwork home so I could distribute it to my friends that are still teaching. So that was wonderful. And Jeannie will go the rest of what we're doing. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Nothing at this time.
So Linda and I and Chris all attended the Sonoma County Office of Education's biannual trustees dinner last week. It was very nice. We really appreciate that the county puts that on, and actually it's their way of saying thank you and supporting of trustees. It was very well attended, and it was a terribly rainy night. A little scary driving out there, but we were surprised there was as many people there as there was, because it was a pretty rough night. So that was really nice. And then just to let everybody know something that we're doing last year, Julie Aiello, when she was president, and we went around and met with quite a number of staff people, administrators, staff, counselors, office staff. And Linda and I are going to start that again. This starts tomorrow. We're meeting with Chuck tomorrow. And our goal from that is to kind of just do a check-in. How are they doing? How are they feeling? What are their thoughts? Do there's something they need? Just so that they realize that the board kind of cares, wants to know how things are going along. So if you haven't heard from us, most likely some of you will. So I've got a pretty good sized list already put together. So, but that's going to start happening, and that'll give us some great feedback for kind of just how the district is coming along.
That's great. It's really a good policy, good procedure. Yeah. I don't have anything in particular.
I'll make mine short and sweet tonight. The PD Day was awesome. I want to appreciate all the teachers that led sessions and the folks that contributed to that agenda. Hats off to Nicole and the rest of the team for putting together a meaningful day. Academy of Innovative Arts update, the community schools grant has been submitted, so fingers crossed. Big thanks to everyone that contributed there. We'll keep y'all posted. I believe the early March in terms of determinations. Yeah.
Wow.
We launched our landing page for the new academy. A website is being built by Thrillshare, and then we'll be able to build out a full website with content, but we wanted a landing page to hit, so you'll see that on our website. The enrollment form went live last week, and I'm proud to say that we've already got, as of yesterday, there was 18. Any new? 18 total enrollments. Within the first hour, there was 6. So that's exciting news. In the personnel report, you approved or will approve our first founding teacher, and so we're excited about that. We're continuing our search. I want to thank Linda and Jeannie for joining me at the biennial trustee dinner. That was great. And then just echo Lily's sentiment to thank Jeannie and Lewis for attending with CTA with Brian and Lily and Josh. We're looking forward to our next session with WSETA on Friday, and excited to keep our positive labor relations momentum going. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Moving right along to education services, we have a LCAP mid-year update. Chris?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And this is a discussion presentation only, no action here. So as I referenced in the board item, this is a new requirement as of 2022-2023 to provide the board with a mid-year LCAP update. As noted in this agenda item, I'm going to give you the update here, and when we get to the next item, it's really just for you to have reviewed in terms of the actual document that has all the mid-year metrics and expenditure report. So I'll take any questions there, but I'm not going to go through that document. This really gives you a snapshot on the data and some of the progress as it pertains to our goals. Go ahead, next slide, please. So as you all know, one of the things that we were really proud of getting through our LCAP development of our new 3-year strategic plan was a new mission statement. You're okay. Our demographics are changing, and we wanted our mission statement to reflect the needs of our current students. So we're really proud of that, and that's come to life during our PD days, the language that we speak in the halls, and also our educational initiatives. Next slide. Just for your reminder and for the public that are here, these are the 3 phases of strategic planning. Now that we have a new 3-year local control accountability plan, we will be revising that plan for the next 3 years, but we will still maintain our commitment to this process. So we had 7 total meetings last year, 6 ed partner meetings to develop the new 3-year LCAP. The LCAP educational partner engagement will begin in March. We're going to go March, April, May to revise the first year of the new 3-year LCAP. So a less cumbersome process, but an important one where we really need to look at the current data metrics, which I'll show you a snapshot of today, and ensure that we make any revisions appropriately to our goals and actions and expenditures in terms of educational program and where we can support all of our students. Next slide, please. Update topics. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the dashboard data. I'm going to make sure that you understand this year's eligibility for differentiated assistance and explain that, and then review the LCAP mid-year report. So our dashboard does not look as good as it did last year. While we decreased in ELA and math and just ever so slightly in graduation, we really did well in suspension in college and career. How we score in terms of ELA and math ebbs and flows. If you really look at the historical snapshot of our data, last year was a really good year in which we saw tremendous growth. It's cohort to cohort. These are our juniors that are taking these tests. So, we know that we can do better in the next round of testing. And I think that through the development of our new testing protocols, we've paid attention to some of the things that were challenging for us last year, like students opting out of the tests. So obviously our goal is to see these scores increase each and every year, but I know that we're committed to continuing the development of our educational programs, ensuring that all students have what they need to thrive. But I'll go into a slide here in a moment that shows some of the areas that we saw some really great improvements in college and career. If you remember last year, that data did not indicate into the color scheme. It was purple. The state was, for some reason, didn't give you a better snapshot of how well you did there. And then obviously, I think some of our work around creating a restorative culture and just, again, as students ebb and flow, we saw our suspension rate go from, I believe, orange into the green. Next slide, please. So here's kind of where our students land in the different areas of the key dashboard metrics. So obviously, unfortunately, in ELA and math, we're now in the orange. Students with disability are in the red. For the math indicator, the suspension rate, all students were in the green, but you see Asian and ELL were in the yellow. And you can see over to the far right, it's very high in terms of how the state acknowledges success and performance, high, medium, low, or very low. So I don't have to read the rest of it, but this shows you where we are on this year's current dashboard for those key indicators and those specific student groups. Next slide, please. So this is a pie chart that I pulled directly from DataQuest. It shows where our student demographics are prepared in terms of the college and career indicators. So you can see that we are doing really well with our white students. Our Hispanic students are at the 20%. And then the other metrics as reflected there. So we're really looking at equity, in that regard, and again, our changing student demographics and ensuring that all students have opportunities for their own post-secondary goals. And there's a variety of different ways that students can be deemed college and career ready. And so we want to be very well-rounded in terms of the students who are very high achieving, being able to get to those four-year universities, and students that may be interested in a different route or may need some additional support along the way. Next slide, please. I'll let you kind of digest this. I'm not going to read to you the percentages, but here's the key areas in which the state measures whether or not we're college and career ready. So you see that first is CTE pathway completion. That's students completing their articulated pathway or sequence of courses. The assessments, the ELA and math, college course credit. Now that we have CCAP, we're going to start seeing performance there. It has to be in CCAP to be picked up by the dashboard, not just dual enrollment with kids taking classes at the JC. AP courses, A through G requirements, that's the MET, UC, or CSU requirements, state CELA, biliteracy, and work-based learning. So for some reason, we didn't track any data in work-based learning. I need to dig into that, where we did track some data last year. But we saw a lot of growth in this area as reflected in the dashboard, college and career readiness in the green. Any questions on this slide before we move? Yeah.
Maybe on the prior slide too. It's interesting that we score very high in college and career readiness, but fairly low in English and math.
It was the opposite last year.
Do you think it's just an anomaly of the data moves around, or is there what can we learn from that?
I think, so we unpacked it a little bit. There were a lot of students who opted out of testing last year. And then as I analyzed the data from prior years, last year was an anomaly in terms of the growth. So we've been pretty steady, up, down, but we saw something that we were really proud of with those scores where we were last year. So I think it's just really looking at how we can further support our professional development to align with what supports students in terms of being prepared for that test, really being calculated in our efforts to put together a really well-designed testing window. I met with Kirsten Samft, one of our vice principals who has been tasked with the testing coordinator title. And we just talked it through from her experiences as a former high school principal, sharing, my concerns. We really looked at this data. We needed to focus more in the area of ensuring that students see the value in taking that test seriously, and then setting up the conditions. So we looked at the conditions, and last year we packed them into 1 week. So we looked at, do we separate it and do a week for ELA, a week for math? And I threw out some opportunities for resources. I know in my former district, we used to send kids to a different location, feed them lunch. So there's some things that I'm going to follow up and learn more about where Annalee landed in terms of their testing schedule. But cohort and conditions can make a difference year to year. Yep. Next slide, please. So differentiated assistance, what that means is we're eligible for assistance through the County Office of Education when we have 2 or more subgroups score in the red. And so you can see this year our students with disabilities and long-term ELs are in the red in math, suspension, and ELPI. And then I show you where we have those 2 groups. So students with disabilities is in the math academic indicator in college and career, and then the long-term English learners in both ELPI and suspension rate. So we've met with SCO. They receive significant funding from the state, and then they provide opportunities that we're either interested in or we're not to help revise our goals. Our requirement is to address this with the development of our LCAP. And when we revise this year's LCAP, we'll be looking at specific goals, metrics, and expenditures and programs to support these students. Last year it was homeless and foster youth in suspensions and I believe college and career readiness as well. So it's a different subgroup of students, different categories. Again, that just changes year to year. It's very interesting when you dive into the data, and every year you kind of refresh your mind on how to navigate DataQuest and the CDE dashboard. And I just want to note that our partnership with Shella Seton was extremely helpful for not only our team, our process, but my own professional development in terms of navigating and leading this process into future years. And so I geeked out on this, and you'll see in the document that's attached to the next item, that is basically like a snapshot of what the bigger LCAP will look like in terms of the metrics that align with our goals. And what we did was we went from 3 goals with many, many actions that were all across the board and 2 specific to 2 goals and more defined actions that were all encompassing of educational program. Next slide, please. So we want to always bring it back to our portrait of a graduate. And again, I think the thread of bringing this to life was live during the PD day, and the teachers hosted some breakout sessions around these different aptitudes. But as we look at our LCAP this year, we'll bring it back to the portrait of a graduate. Next slide, please. So just to remind you of our previous 3 goals prior to my role in building a new LCAP. I inherited the 3rd year of the prior LCAP. We revised those goals last year, those 3, and our 2 new goals are as displayed in that slide. So goal 1, provide a responsive, evidence-based, multi-tiered systems of support to maximize student achievement, foster authentic student and family engagement, and create a positive school climate. Goal 2, strengthen innovative, equitable opportunities for academic rigor, career preparation, and personal development so all students successfully attain the characteristics of a portrait of a graduate. So when you look at this and then you go back and look at the expenditures and the programs and where we've pulled in the majority of our district's budget to reflect everything that we do, whereas our former LCAP, again, was a compliance document that really focused on goals and actions that supported supplemental funding, which is the funding we receive for our unduplicated students. So it was a plan really written for unduplicated students, and we took it a step further to be a plan written that will guide the district forward. So we're looking forward to this first year of revisions, and we'll revise 2 more times, and then we get a chance to see, hey, where are we after 3 years, and continue the momentum and continue to adapt and align programs that meet current students. Next slide, please. So here's our next steps. I spoke to this, so I'm not going to read that to you. I'm curious to see the new Youth Truth results. We're one of the few counties in the school that's been conducting Youth Truth each and every year. I think we have, 10 years now? 6. Okay. Well, I was a little aspirational there. I was off base. My math's usually decent. So, our cycle here is going to be to conduct our meetings, conduct root cause analysis. That's also a requirement through differentiated assistant. Really looking at what are the reasons, what are the conditions that cause students to not have success or achieve in certain areas, and then bring that back to our goals and actions, our expenditures and program.
Okay, LCAP mid-year monitoring report. This was a summary of that.
You got it. And I outlined that in those items to reflect that this document was for your review. This summarizes the report. If you really want to geek out and look at where our baseline metrics were in terms of, what we hope to achieve for students and where we are at the mid-year that reflects this new data, feel free to dive into that document a little bit further. And then this document really will be encompassed in the full LCAP. There'll just be a lot more writing. And it'll be based on where we're at after second interim with adopted budget with Andrew's numbers in terms of all the financials, because we bring the LCAP and the adopted budget back to you at the last board meeting in June.
Okay, we're moving on now to a public hearing on the district's branding of the Forestville campus. So I guess we need to open the public hearing. And does anyone have a comment? No? Okay, well, I guess then that concludes our public hearing. Consideration of branding of the Forestville campus. This is now a board discussion or a board
Discussion
decision?
action item. I think that it'd be wise to have discussion before making a motion, because you don't know what you're motioning on. But unlike the consideration of branding of our newly named school, I didn't make a recommendation, but I did make a recommendation this evening. And this was discussed, and I felt clearly determined, but without the appropriate process to officially name the school per our current board policy. So we felt it was important to bring it back to the board. Also really good public transparency and acknowledgement should the board formally approve the branding of the campus as the El Molino campus or El Molino Community School campus. So I'll leave it to y'all, and then when you're ready, make a motion and then go from there.
So the idea that's out in the air is to name the Forestville campus the El Molino campus. Does anybody have a comment? Sean, you want to say anything about that?
A question.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the name in the item is the El Molino Community School campus.
Mm-hmm.
And so why is it that rather than the El Molino campus or El Molino School campus? Or
Just that it's going to be a community school. And again, that's what we heard when we walked away, when you voted on the Academy of Innovative Arts. And I'd have to look at the minutes in terms of what I said, but I did acknowledge that, that was some direction. And so we brought it back. It doesn't have to be the El Molino Community School campus. It could just be the El Molino campus. It's really the will of the board. And the name El Molino is our recommendation to make sure that's how we're acknowledging that land.
yeah, I guess my thought is that it's if the campus is going to be a community hub, calling it a community school campus seems like just El Molino campus might be better. I don't.
Okay. So that's your proposal for now.
I like it.
Linda?
I agree. So
El Molino campus. Just 3 words.
I agree. I mean, I think getting community schools in there could be confusing to some people who don't know. So I'm with you, Sean and Rita.
Amy, what do you think?
I don't have a,
Amy?
I don't,
Okay.
either way, doesn't, it's fine with me.
Okay. I'm with you guys. I think that it's just naturally called, I mean, if you just casually say, where are we going tonight? Oh, we're going to the El Molino campus. It just, it has its own inherent long-lived name, so. So if there's not further discussion, would anyone like to make a motion for the naming? It's called branding, but we'll just say naming of campus.
So I move that we name the Forest Hill campus the El Molino campus.
Second,
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. That somehow feels really good. Okay, thank you.
Oh, public comment. You gotta open for public comment.
Well, we had a public hearing and no one showed up,
Sure.
so.
Just to keep process.
Name, good? Mary, you good?
Good, okay.
Good? Okay, good, thank you, because it's still dicey, let's be honest. So great, that was really great, thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of approval of a resolution to establish capacity limits for class sizes and special ed programs for the 25-26 school year. Do we have a presentation about that?
1 second, sorry, Jenny was talking about tech. I missed something. Oh yeah, I'm good with power. Okay,
Well, don't we usually like just say what it, okay, either way.
you can make a motion on this one. It's a routine item, but then I can go into it.
All right, I move that we approve the resolution to establish capacity limits for class sizes for special ed. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll present. So this allows the district to cap interdistrict enrollments when special education is involved, because we have to reserve spots for resident students, being that, you know, we're at the liberty of serving students who come into our boundaries. This allows us that if we're at 23 per case manager, 23 students, then we can deny an interdistrict transfer based on special education. Without a resolution that's formally adopted by the board on an annual basis, we wouldn't be able to deny based on special education. So it's very expensive. We just don't know, right? So capping special education, really being aware of our obligation to serve students that come in with a particular IEP makes things difficult for us. So we just have to be very cautious there, because if we didn't have space for a student that came into our district that maybe needed specific services, then we're on the hook for non-public placement. So.
Any discussion about this? Make sense? Public, all those in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Rio? Linda?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Me?
Aye.
Louis? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Consideration of approval of a vote for the California School Board Association subregion. Basically, we're voting to elect a delegate to that board.
Yeah, and I just need to note that we forgot to revise this. It should say 2025 delegate. So apologize for that. Just putting that on record
Okay.
for the minutes.
We'll just write it in. So we're approving the vote, but really we're taking the vote.
Taking a vote. Right. On these.
Do we have volunteers who would like to serve?
No,
It's these two that are listed.
This is not.
This is different, yeah.
Okay, my bad. Any Jeannie, do you have any guidance on this? What do we do? Do we vote yes, or do we just all abstain? Or, I mean, if we don't know anything, how do we, it's like,
Yeah, and I think that Shelby was the incumbent.
She's local. Yeah, the other person's from Benicia. So we would need a motion.
okay, you want to make a motion?
I move that we vote for Shelby Moeller or Mueller, I'm not sure how she says her name, for the sub-region CSBA representative.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of approval of new course requests. And
You can take a
there's
motion.
Bunch of them. Someone want to make a motion to approve new course requests? I move that we approve the new course requests. Second?
I'll second.
Second, Sean?
So this is just the next iteration of, evolving course titles, ensuring that the course requests align with the vision of our programs. These are obviously all annually. Happy to answer any specific questions. You'll see some in there specifically around special education, and that's regarding the alternate diploma and the district's obligation to provide diploma track for students that may have not necessarily met diploma track. I believe Laura did do an update to the board on that a few months ago, so I won't go through that. I do want to have Laura come back, though, in the next month or two and talk about just special education in general. But these other course requests, I'm in full favor of. And again, unless you want me to go through each of them line by line, I'm happy to, but I added a brief description, and then all the other detail is in the actual course request document. So not incurring additional sections. We're obviously being mindful about section allocation, meeting the current enrollments and making adjustments that way. So these courses will replace other courses that were offered previous years.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First read of proposed new text in Agri 20, Intro to Plant Science.
I
So it's
move
just
that we approve the, oh, no, it's a first reading. Never mind.
Yeah. So read.
Emily's here if she would like to make any comments on the ag science. I'd welcome that. Excuse me. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So this textbook goes with our new CCAP course. So our Advanced Sustainable Agriculture course is now a dual enrolled class with SRJC. This is the first year that we've had this course. So students are getting 2 different semesters of college credit for 2 different semesters of college classes. So one of the semesters is plant science based and then one is animal science based. So this textbook would just be the required text that would go to the class that is on the CCAP agreement.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's a first read. We're just going to move on to consideration of approval of agreement of the participating school district in Sonoma County regarding interdistrict attendance. And it looked like this was every school in the county.
Mhm.
It's part of that. So it's a
So yeah, you're
mutually recognizing attendance schedule so that people can transfer
correct.
outside the county. That's my layman's.
Yeah, and it's running out, and obviously we need this to be able to accept interdistrict transfers, and we're happy to recommend that the board make a motion and approve it.
I move that we approve the agreement to participate in interdistrict attendance agreements.
I second.
All right, Linda, you second.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Chris. My question, Chris, would be, is there any idea if there's some school districts who are going to drop out of this agreement?
I haven't heard.
Okay,
Curious myself, but I haven't heard.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, business services, public hearing on the adoption of a fee justification study. So we're just approving the study or hearing about it to increase developer fees levied against properties and construction. So we're opening a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Do we have any comments from the public? No. Then we're gonna closed. So closed. We're gonna move now to, thank you, Jeannie. We're gonna move now to the consideration of approval of that justification study. Do it. Yeah.
I approve the resolution number 12, February 24, 25, to adopt a fee justification study.
I second.
Okay, Linda. Discussion?
So we do have a presentation. We have Rob Murray from King Consulting, who will go over the justification study. Developer fees have not been collected, I believe, since about 2017. So we're at that point of we're looking at implementing those fees again due to the development, due to increasing needs for facilities and maintain those. So I'll let Rob take over and provide you the justification study.
All right, thank you and good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, good to be here again after presenting your demographics last month. This will be a shorter and sweeter presentation, I think. So we're just going to go through just the high points of how that justification study works for your statutory developer fees. So we can go ahead and move to our first slide, please. And this is just the real high points of the history of those developer fee study or developer fees, which kind of have some history, but really 1998 with the passage of SB 50 is when we're talking about the current system of a capped fee that's established by the state allocation board every other year and at the beginning of each even numbered year. So we're still working off of the fee that was authorized at the beginning of 2024. And essentially, what you need to do in your justification study is show the costs to you in terms of providing school facilities for students who you have enrolled, who you would not have enrolled absent that development occurring, and specifically tie the impact of the development to the generation of students to increased school facilities costs. And then the numbers pencil out, and then you have a fee that is justified, tied to a nexus, establishing the relationship to the development, and then the fees are collected. Usually at the time building permits are pulled, there was actually a new SB 937 that just went into law earlier this year, that for certain kinds of affordable or transit-oriented housing, there are ways for the developers to get those fees a little bit later, but there's also ways for school districts to be exempt from that. So not something that you need to worry too much about. Just wanted to caveat that last line in our presentation here. We can go ahead and move to our next slide. And this is just the overview on how they basically work from the mathematical justification standpoint, and then how they work when you charge them is that for each square foot of either residential or commercial industrial development, and those are two different rates, you just collect a fee on that square footage. Again, there's a few exemptions and some things that if you really want to get into it, we can kind of cover all the bases, but that's basically how it works. And again, as we already said, they are capped. And here's where we need to talk about you being a high school district. That $5.17 maximum statutory rate for residential development is for all of the students in an area. So for a unified district, that's what they could charge up to. And for areas that are served by both an elementary school district and a high school district, then there is usually some kind of agreement on how that fee is split. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. And in your case, there's a couple of different things that we have to lay out. One of which is typically as a high school district where you're collecting usually the smaller portion of a split fee, it's actually pretty common that your individual justification that's just looking at how many high school students are going to be generated doesn't reach that statutory maximum. Because normally you're only worried about that you're justified up to a point that's usually between 30 to 40% of what that number is. And in your case, you also have several different elementary school districts, depending on what area of your district development might be occurring in. And here's the part that's a little bit interesting, is that if an elementary district, in your case, does not have their own justification to collect fees, you as the high school district can collect all the way up to the maximum that you are justified for, which worked out to be $3.47. So if there is no split agreement, you will collect $3.47 because you're justified up to that amount, and there's no one else that you have to share it with, more or less. For some of the other districts that do have their own fees, you're going back to that amount of $5.17 and then working out the individual percentage that you have negotiated with each elementary district. And some of them are different. We have an appendix in the study that lays all that out. But that's how that's calculated. Commercial rates are almost everyone who does one of these studies will be justified to collect the maximum of that, but that works the same way. You get to collect the 84 cents if you aren't splitting it, or otherwise you'll take the percent that you've agreed to split with your elementary district. And then there's an exception for self-storage or mini storage, as it's typically called in these studies, just because you have a lot of square footage and very few employees, i.e. people who might be moving into the area for the job, which is how that nexus works. You have a very minimal fee that's charged on those specific projects. And then I think we can go ahead and just move to our last couple of slides. And we can always certainly go back and answer some questions. But just quick notes about the use is that the study does, again, part of that nexus is also demonstrating the need based on the students generated, but you also have to demonstrate what you're going to spend those developer fees on. But a big one for you, as we talked about in the demographics, you're not necessarily looking at students that you have from residential development necessarily spurring you to have to build a new school, but there is the idea that you are maintaining an existing level of service and refurbishing or reconstructing facilities to do that. And the basic idea is, even if it's just on a classroom by classroom basis, at some point, the students that you have generated from new residential development impose on you the obligation to maintain more facilities at that existing level of service when otherwise you wouldn't have to maintain as much. At the end of the day, that's really what the study is saying. And so, Andrew will do a good job of making sure that, they go into their own dedicated fund, and then you're obligated annually and every 5 years with a bigger version to just report how much you collect and then how much you spend and what you spend it on. And as long as you're spending it on things that were identified in the study, then that'll be easy and straightforward. And then on our final slide, which is really just a reminder of the real need. I mean, it's very good that you're doing this, even if you don't have just a huge amount of development occurring, just because the impact that you have from any number of students that you have due to development, the cost to house those students is always going to exceed what you actually get from developer fees. So you certainly want to collect what you can. That going back to that 1998 SB 50 days, that's really the intention of this whole model that feeds also into the state school facility funding program, is that between your own local bonds and other local funds, the state school facility program and developer fees are kind of the three legs of a stool that are really all that you have for school facilities. So you definitely want to have this leg of that stool in place. And especially there are a few other programs that require that you are collecting the maximum developer fee that you can at that, just those level 1 fees in order to qualify for some other opportunities. So it's another good thing just to have checked off as standard practice. So with that, I think that covers what I have prepared, but happy to talk more about the study if anyone has any questions. And thank you.
Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So are these developer fees charged to builders even if we aren't allowed to access them? Or does, I'm not asking it very well, am I? So are the developer fees, do they exist without us participating in the program, so to speak?
Okay, good question. And no, if you aren't there to actively show that you are justified in collecting the fees, then that's just a potential fee that they might not have to pay. Or in the case of, again, you have a couple of your elementary school districts that do have their own studies in place. And sort of the inverse of what I was describing earlier is they can go ahead and if they're justified to up to the full fee and you're not collecting it, then your elementary district in a couple of cases might just be collecting the full fee until you come in to actually participate on your end of the fee split.
Got it.
But yes, absent the school districts having this in place, it's a potential cost that honestly I think a lot of developers anticipate having to pay that in their case they just luck out and don't have to worry about.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're being asked to decide whether we want to pay for a survey, a report.
No, the survey's already been done, so you're approving whether you want to re-implement these fees onto new construction and residential.
Is there a cost for us to do that?
No.
No.
To do the study, there was a cost, but there's not a cost to
But
collect
the
these fees
study's
again.
been done.
Yeah.
So it's the same data that we collected for the demographic analysis, or
Yeah, different.
Okay.
I mean, but it's based off of these homes or whatever are coming in.
Right.
And this is what it costs.
So I'm just wondering how strict the acceptance or not of this would be, because between us here, we know that we're fighting against declining enrollment, and we're not going to be forced to build another school. We have a school that we're not even using fully. So are we going to be able to justify the developer fee?
Yes, they
You
have
think
been,
so?
they have been justified with
Yeah, and to clarify on that, that your justification is based on not on the growth and the need to expand your school facilities, but just on the increased need to maintain your existing level of service for all future students.
And we're likely to get it if we applied for it. Somebody at the state level probably has to rubber stamp this and say yes. No?
We approve it
No.
here.
For our
And when
district.
somebody builds a home, they have to come here and pay those fees.
So we get to decide. Cool.
And just to clarify, this doesn't go before the public to be voted on or anything, right? It's just we decide we want to tax people and then we go do it.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, we used to collect and then we hadn't collected for a number of years and it just makes sense, especially.
And
the
this is a
public.
point, just in case anyone from the public is interested in watching, is that this does not go back retroactively. This is only for new homes that are built. And again, some of the instances that people sometimes have concerns about, if someone has some kind of disaster where they have, you say someone has a house that burns down and they want to rebuild it, that would be exempt because the fees had already been paid on the previous structure. So unless you're building something massively larger, like more than 500 square feet larger than what was demoed or destroyed, then there's no fees on that. Anyone just doing an addition or extension on their house, if it's 500 square feet or less, that's completely exempt from the fees. So most of what this is going to be is for brand new development, and then just it's in the same way that people also have impact fees that they're paying to sanitary districts, to fire districts. This just helps your school district be part of that process as well.
I'm kind of curious, like I just ran the numbers. So like if someone was building a 2,500 square foot house at the 517, it's like $12,000. So when they go to get a permit, there would be an additional $12,000 to that permit cost. So, I mean, doesn't that in a way discourage the building of new homes and therefore new students?
I mean, I think that the idea is that all schools, because we split these fees with those districts that were named, right, the partner districts, would incur additional financial burdens in terms of deferred maintenance year over year. So I get your point there, but I think it's advantageous for the district. I think it's part of the process. Most districts collect developer fees.
I mean, if it's 2,500 square feet, it's what, $3.40?
517.
Oh, 517 total.
Well, it would be 517
get
in a unified district or in a place where your elementary district splits, also has their fee in place. But 347 is the maximum amount that you, as the West Sonoma County Union High School District, is able to collect.
Yeah, and because a bunch of the other districts too have this in place, they'll just get the whole thing that they're entitled to. So, like it could be paid anyway, just going elsewhere to some small bit of that. I mean, it depends upon how much they're justified for, but. But I did have the same concern too, that could this discourage the development of things, because it also brings up an ADU as well, if it's if it's over 500 square feet, then you would have to pay the additional or the fee.
And the other way to think of it is if you're building ground up a new house in West Sonoma County, it's 2,500 square feet. That's a $600,000 or $800,000 construction project. So this is a small piece of that, and it supports the kids in schools. That's the other argument.
If I may, and I think what Lewis is trying to say is that if somebody's going to build a house, they've planned they're going to build this house. I don't think that usually that R1 developer fee is going to discourage them from not building that house. I think they're going to say, okay, as a part of doing business. And so I kind of don't think they're going, well, I'm not going to build a house then. I kind of think that they still will.
Yeah, and our job is to do our best for the district, for the kids. I mean, basically our job is to do the best thing we can for the students in this district. Right. So
I understand that. And if I guess where I'm a little stuck is if, and I tend to agree with you, Jeannie, that's such a small percentage of the total cost of construction that it probably isn't truly discouraging. But is it really in the best interest to discourage new homes and new kids? So I mean, I agree with you. I'm just not sure I agree with your argument.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, we need to make a decision here. Are we close?
We did a motion, Karen.
We did. I would like to do a straw poll that doesn't count, just to kind of get everyone to see where we're at, and then we'll take a real vote, because it might help us. We kind of did this last time with the name. Real, what are you leaning? Aye. Linda? Sean, what are you thinking? Maybe contrary.
We're still on the fence here. I'm going to go no.
Okay.
Might be aye.
I'm going to be aye.
Yeah, take a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a resolution ticket.
Is this something that is this a mountain that you'll die on, or is this like something?
No,
that
but I mean,
it
it doesn't require 100%.
No, I'm not
Right.
asking you to change your vote. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure that this isn't something that,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not willing to die on this hill. but,
because if it was, I would have to rethink, so.
yeah, no,
Okay,
definitely not.
Cool. All right, so roll call vote. Rio?
Aye.
Aye.
Sean?
Nay.
What's your name?
Jeannie. Aye.
Lewis, aye. All right, thank you. Sean, thank you. Okay. Consideration of approval of provisional internship permit request. This was for, yeah.
You make a motion.
Want to make a motion?
All right, I move that we approve the provisional internship permit request. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, please.
So, as the board is aware, we had a mid-year vacancy in special education. We've been working to fill that for some time now. We in fact have a current open until filled position on EdJoin. We've had a couple of different, what you might call longish term subs in there. Ed code stipulates that in a special education classroom, a sub can only serve up to 20 days in that classroom, 30 days in a general education classroom, but 20 in special ed. So we had one individual serve that maximum to keep some consistency in there. And we have another who's doing a great job, but it was coming up to that maximum this coming Tuesday. So we have had we did have two credentialed applicants for this. We interviewed both. One ended up accepting a job elsewhere. When we offered the position to the other, it was a retiree and he ultimately turned down the position. So all that to say, we have conducted an exhaustive search and we continue to, but we do want to get some stability in the classroom as soon as possible. So one of the two individuals who served in there as a long-term sub is potentially eligible for what's called a provisional internship permit. It's something that the Commission on Teacher Credentialing can issue. It takes the place of what used to be called an emergency permit. And so the steps in the process are the board would need to agree that we are allowed to request that CTC issue a provisional internship permit. I will put the caveat out there. There's no guarantee that CTC would approve this person. What they'll do is they'll look at the person's transcripts and then decide if in fact they'll issue the permit. But again, we're trying to exhaust all options really with the goal of having some stability. And because this individual has been in the classroom previously and did create some stability, we feel like this is our best option that we have right now. So what the request is tonight is for the board to approve that we request from CTC the issuing of a provisional internship permit for Daniel Chamhoff.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Facilities. That would be you.
Yes. Do you want to read the first item and take a motion?
Consideration of approval of the district-wide comprehensive safety plan is this really for 2024, 2025 or for next year?
No, for this year.
Okay.
I move to approve the district-wide comprehensive safety plan for 24-25.
I'll second. All right, Rio seconds.
This is a statutory requirement that we have to check a box every year, and it has to be adopted prior to March 1st of the year. We're always working with prior year data, but current year safety plans. I don't know why the legislature picked this date, because you bring up a point, you're like, are you really approving it for this year? Yes, that is. It's odd. So this is a statutory document. It's very comprehensive. It is not just about safety. It includes a lot of board policy, administrative regulations. It includes information regarding our tactical plans, our emergency response plans, data that we collect through the Youth Truth Survey, plus some goals that we have. I kind of give you the highlight version there. We update all of our committee members are updated on all sites with our ICS charts. That's our incident command chart. That's in response to our emergency preparedness procedures. We update all of our data analysis. We updated our disaster response procedures. We did a major overhaul on both Annalee and Laguna's emergency response plans to align with the Sonoma County Essential 5 communication plan. And so Greg and both Christy at Annalee did a phenomenal job on revamping their plans and really working to train staff this year with Jessica Peterson, who is our safety consultant. We've updated all the suspension and expulsion procedures and data from the prior school year, and we tell you how we've monitored the plan. We're required to reach out to all of our local municipalities, both fire in Sonoma County as well as our local fire here in, it's fun because we have the Sheriff's Department, we have the Sebastopol Police Department, we have I don't know who the fire district person is, or what are we called, Karen, here? Gold Ridge and Sonoma County. We're required to reach out to the county supervisors as well as all of the local. So we send out an email with all of our updated plans and information, and we actually send law enforcement our tactical response plans in a separate document so that they can review those. Because as you'll notice, or maybe the public, if they're interested in reading it, they cannot review our tactical response plans because those are private and only available and accessible within our domain. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you have.
I just want to say thank you, Jenny. I think you've done a really great job with Jessica's help, I suspect, in getting this all put together and organized again. And thank you. Coming from a former safety person, I appreciate
It's my favorite part of February.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jenny. Good work.
Yes, yes.
Consideration of approval of recommended revisions to board policy regarding public art.
Motion?
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
This is brought back to you for this board for the second time, and for the members who were on previously. This is the third time we've had this discussion. I took comments from specifically you, Rio, regarding the scoring criteria, and I amended that, and hopefully that addressed. I kind of took out some of the ambiguous language that made it overly complicated. It's who I am, and tried to simplify that. So hopefully I've addressed that, and you have a policy before you that you would like to see or approve. Happy to answer questions.
Questions?
Well,
Rio?
I do wanted to say thanks. Thank you for doing them. That and it did look fine.
Thank you.
Other comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
First reading of revisions to Board Policy 7310 about naming of a facility and a new policy regarding memorials.
So this is the first reading of both of these policies. 7310 is an existing policy. It's regarding the naming of facilities. And in that board policy, there's some language in there specific to memorials, which is kind of odd. So for 7310, I'm asking or recommending that we strike through that memorial. And that leads directly into a Board Policy 7312, which would be a policy on its own regarding memorials on facilities and grounds. And I have to tell you, this was not an easy board policy to write and develop. And I searched the internet far and wide and took about 4 or 5 different snippets of multiple policies and procedures that are out there in the universe of education. And I think you have before you a pretty comprehensive document that understands the uniqueness and sad nature of some of these requests and tries to honor that and address also the complexity of being a high school campus and not necessarily a memorial grounds. So I'm happy to answer. It's hard, and I say that with all the kindness in the world, but I tried to really be sensitive to the requests that come before us and really clearly lay out some guidelines for us to follow going forward. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Jenny, I read through this and I was touched by your consideration of everybody, of everything that could potentially be brought to us. And I really appreciate the time you spent on writing this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, same here.
And just thinking through clearly how to make these policies make sense instead of thank you for that. Yeah. Other comments, questions?
I just
Jeannie?
wanted to say what I like too is that you've given some good kind of suggestions to people of what are things we would like to see in a memorial. The outdoor furniture, maybe some indoor furniture, trees, shrubs, etc. And then the placement of the plaques. So thank you.
I felt it was really important to call out the longevity or in perpetuity that these could be on campus as well, and really spell that out because we've had to deal with them through the course. I've had to deal with them through the course of construction, and it's not an easy subject to broach with a family who expects something to stay there.
What I like about outdoor furniture is that it can be moved more easily than something that's a little more permanent, like this big, granite block or something that somebody wants to put.
All those in favor?
Wait, this is first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry. First read.
Is it okay to bring it back on consent?
Yeah, I would say, please. I think everyone's in support. Good idea. Thanks, Jenny. Consideration of approval of public art request from Annalee teacher McKenna Hurd. Do we have a motion? I move that we approve the public art request from McKenna Hurd. We have a second. Okay.
Second.
McKenna couldn't be here tonight. It's her birthday and she had other things to do, sadly. So we have Paige here if you have any specific questions. I've also provided all the artwork that was submitted, which doesn't always translate when we're scanning those documents. This request came to us on January 14th. It's regarding the interior of the main building on the second floor in what is predominantly known as the English department. Above each of the doors, there is artwork. That artwork, we believe, dates back to sometime in the early 70s. We actually reached out and tried to find out if anyone knew about this art, and one of our longest standing classified employees said, hey, this was here before I started. And that was 21 years ago. That artwork is also displayed over here. I think there's a compelling request to update the art to something more relevant to the current campus and student culture. What's nice about where this art is placed and how it's placed is there used to be windows above the doors moons and moons ago, and apparently those got taken down and pieces of wood were put in their place. So we wouldn't necessarily be painting over. We would be removing the wood artwork and taking it down. We wouldn't necessarily destroy it. I don't exactly know how to reach out to the community to find out if anyone knows. I probably should have called Loretta, thinking about it now.
I was a student here and graduated in 75, and this was here when I started here.
So
it's from,
it's a minute.
I think even late 60s.
Yeah, we couldn't determine. So I said I was erring somewhere, but I did want to let you guys know it would not necessarily be destroyed initially.
Jenny,
Huh.
she's so
What?
You made me feel old. Well, way back.
Well, moons and moons ago, I say that about like last week. So,
These were there when I was there, and I went in 70. So that just
it gives us a little bit of a historical. We couldn't find anyone on campus that had any and the names are really, really hard to define up there in their current location. I took the liberty of utilizing our yet to be approved board policy matrix just as a rubric to present to you. I felt that this was completely representative of the kind of artwork we would want to support. It's teacher initiative, student supported throughout the classroom, and I think it will be a benefit to the campus. So I strongly supported this request, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions, and I know Paige is here too.
Jenny, I have a question. So you said the existing artwork wouldn't necessarily be destroyed, but what would happen to it?
We'd put it down in our maintenance yard for a little while, and then I honestly have the question of like, would we try to reach out to find out if anybody knows anything about this, and how would we do that? Usually Loretta's like the reacher outer of things.
so I would suggest sending the pictures to Loretta and having her post them on the alumni website. I'm sure if a lot of people on there will see that. And my aunt was the secretary in the office. Then she worked for the maintenance department until she retired. I'm gonna see her on Friday. I'll ask her if she knows. She's 92, but she's pretty sharp still.
So I think it's hard to, we would keep it. We keep a lot of stuff for a long time. And I think the interest would be, from my perspective, just to see if anyone were interested. If we did some outreach, we're interested in keeping it.
I like the idea. Just send it to Loretta, send her the pictures that you have here. She can post them.
You have 30 days to come claim the art.
And if you want, if anybody wants it or knows somebody who did the art, come and get it. And if not, we will be
We'll happily
disposing
do
of
that.
it.
Absolutely.
And what I want to say is I love the color.
Mhm.
Getting some color there is great. That's really good. Thank you.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
done. Measure A, bond and budget project update.
Doesn't matter. No, I was just gonna ask if Paige had anything to add, or if that was.
Ew. Mhm.
It's right there. Back pages.
We don't even remember it.
Turn it over.
We were here 50 years ago.
Great, thank you. Annie?
So just a quick update for you guys. We are really busy in the facilities department. We have a lot of projects, either currently actively happening with the Annalee portables, which should be closing out phase 1 project here at the end of the month, taking occupancy with 2 of the classrooms at the end of the month for Maker, as well as the what we call the Ag 3 portable classroom, which is English class. So phase 2 will start in the summertime. Laguna High School still has the painting, flooring, and slurry seal that we are scheduling. The B building has been completed. If you get a chance to go by, you'll see the new paint color scheme, and I think it looks gorgeous. Battling some weather, so we're doing the best that we can to complete the painting project. They just started building H right in time for SELPA to move in, who they moved in this past Monday. That was a contract that you guys approved a few months ago. Small gym, main gym roofing projects are still on schedule for this summer. We're starting the procurement of equipment and submittal process. That's all the fun stuff that we get to do behind the scenes. The CTE project, the full-fledged project will start 3/1. We'll return over the Maker building that's being moved out of and into the portable. They'll start the abatement and demolition process over spring break. The paving is stalled a little bit over at Laguna because of weather, and the parking lot at Annalee, we're excited to announce the work out there. That'll open Tuesday, so all the temp fencing will come down. If you haven't seen or gone down there, it looks really, really nice. We cleaned up the area quite a bit. And then the F building HVAC and roofing project at Laguna, we just started the bidding process. We had 22 contractors show up on Monday for that job, and it's a very competitive market out there. So we're really busy and lots of things are going on. Budgets will get updated. Feel free to take a look, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay, return to closed session if necessary, not. The meeting is adjourned.